Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope you all are doing good. I'm Ayesha Syed, a freelance content writer and a YouTuber. Today's interaction is specifically for aspiring writers, people who want to expand their work and share it with the world, and also want to know a bit about the writing world. With the advancement in technology, everything has sort of grown massively, which is confusing for the beginners, who to go to for publishing, where to put out our content, and stuff like that. To motivate you all and to introduce you to a writer's perspective, we have invited Hiba Farook today. Assalamu alaikum, Hiba. How are you doing?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me here. And alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm very good. How are you?
I am good, alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining us. So Hiba here is a published writer. Her book Written came out in 2019, and it talks about life, emotions, reflections, and things that she has experienced over the years. She is a graduate in functional English and a postgraduate in social work. Currently, she's working as a radio jockey and social media manager at 360 Radio, which is a digital radio station in the UAE. So without any further ado, Hiba, please share a little bit about your writing journey. How did it all begin? Was there someone in your surrounding or someone close to you who motivated you or pushed you to pursue this?
So as a child, it was not very easy for me to speak. I always found it very hard to speak to people, to just even express the smallest of things. So I think I was around 14 years old, and I was in my ninth grade. I had a fight with my friend. She was like one of my closest friend. At that time, she was like my best friend. And I wanted to apologize, but I did not know how to do that.
Okay.
So eventually, before that, I used to, try writing songs. Like I would try to make lyrics and all that, but I never took it seriously. So when this happened, when this fight happened between me and my friend, I wanted to write something for her. So I thought I would start with a letter, but eventually it came out to be a poem. And so the next day in school, I gave it to her. She read it. She actually liked it so much that
Oh,
she
wow.
showed it to our teacher, my classmates, and all that. So as far as I remember, I feel like that was the moment I started writing. So that was like, 10, 12 years before. But then I always loved reading. I always loved being around words since I was like a child. And my parents always kept motivating me, especially my father. Upa is a great, what do I say, influence for me being a writer. He used to write. He's a great reader also. So that a little bit of influence from there since childhood, and then starting to write poems when like when I was 14 and stuff like that. So that's where I started writing poems. And initially it was like a blog, because back then Instagram or Facebook was not as common or as accessible as it is now. So I had a blog. I still have that blog. I still
I've
keep
seen it.
updating. Yeah, I still keep updating and uploading that. And so initially it was that, and then I would write in my diary. So I have like a lot of diaries with me, with most of my write-ups and all that. And when I reached college, it was a little, different, because I studied in Saudi Arabia, and coming from there to Kerala was a transformation altogether. But it never stopped me again. Like one thing that was constant in different ways, of course, but it's always been constant in my life is words, writing, and being around the whole idea of, writing and reading. So that's always been constant. And I used to write even, when I was in college and all that. So around 2016, 17, I was like, okay, I want to publish a book. I want to make this into a book. And that's when I started the idea of, okay, written. But it took another 2, 3 years for it to, happen and all that. So this is a little bit of my journey, through writing. It's always been something that keeps me sane in a way. It's helped me heal a lot. It's given me a lot of hope. So that's why it's always been very constant throughout my life. And alhamdulillah for that.
I like that you had a father, like your father, who pushed you to write and to read. And I think that in, especially in our generation, our parents or our elders in the society, usually, used to push or pressurize kids into going towards more traditional education rather than something that they love, which could be like sports or music or writing, anything, So I feel like there is a minority of people who get that kind of support from their homes or from their schools, and then pursue it, and then sort of form it into their careers. So I'm glad that you had that.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So moving on swiftly to the next question. What is the message you usually want to communicate to the audience when they are reading your work? Like, I know that when it comes to creative arts, or, like writing or music, and so on and so forth, the message is kind of, it's like upon individuals, the perception differs from person to person. If I look at a piece of art, I could have a different perspective of it than what the writer or the artist was supposed to like making it. So what do you like? Is there any one thing that you want your audience to take away from your writing? Is there any one message that you want your readers to take away from your message when they are reading your work?
So the thing is, okay, so one thing I always tell when I say that I love to write is I feel like it's my purpose. Like I believe, God sends you down here with different purposes. And for me, I feel like writing is one such. And through my writing, if I wouldn't say it's my doing, again, it's God who, plans and does, and I'm just
Absolutely.
doing the deed. So, but what I'm trying to say is I always try to write in a way that people can connect and people can heal. And alhamdulillah, like I've had readers tell me how some of my writings have, helped them in their
Beautiful.
hardest time, something like that. And that doesn't make me, feel like so proud, but it again humbles me because I'm like, okay, God chose me for that. Alhamdulillah for that, opportunity.
Yeah.
So that is something that I try through my words. But other than that, for me, I wouldn't say a message as such, but it's always like if you read something that I write, I hope that, by the end of it, you don't feel like, okay, I want to kill myself now. Don't feel that. I'm glad. I want you to, I wouldn't say I want you to be so thrilled or happy, but if there's some hope in it, then I feel like, okay, I've done what I have to do. But again, there are different kind of things that I write. So I write poems, I write articles, and there are some very emotional, sentimental pieces of, prose or poems that I have written to. And those, they're very personal in a way, because some of them I've not even experienced or anything, but it just comes and I write. So what I feel like those things, I couldn't say that, okay, there's one particular message. Again, it's like how people read to it. So in those kind of writings, what I normally, like the comment or the feedback that I would get from a reader is how they're able to connect. So for me, words, or what I write, or words in general, is a way to connect, is a way to heal, and like provide hope for me, because when I write, there's a part of me that heals. There's a part, because again, sometimes it's like it's stuck over here or somewhere over here, and you just want it all to come out of you, And when it does come out, you feel like, okay, it's out there. Like you feel so lighthearted, or you feel good about it. So for me, writing is a way of healing. It's a way of me being more hopeful, because sometimes, I'm like really lost, and I just write something, and when I read it again, I feel like, okay, inshallah, there's some hope in whatever I'm going through. So there's a lot of these kind of things that happen when I write. And like, to answer your question, so the message that, I would go is to what I said at the first, and that is like the purpose. So when I write, I feel like the purpose is Allah has, like God has put that purpose on me that I have to write. And whatever I write, it has maybe unknown or known messages or influences that it would have, which maybe God alone knows and the person who's reading knows. So I leave it there. That's where I would say, like reader's interpretation and the whole author is dead sort of a thing comes into play. So yeah, I hope that's clear.
Yeah, no, you answered it beautifully. So if you receive some criticisms or anything like that, how do you like distance yourself from your work, or do you take it positively?
Okay, so thing is, for a very long time, so I call myself like, or my pen name is Mad Lady. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very silly in a way, I know that. But the reason why I chose that name was, again, back in college, it was not very easy
Mm-hmm.
because you're coming from a different culture, from a different sort
Yeah.
of people and everything, and you're, placing yourself in a different environment altogether. And most of the time, I would write and, I would upload it maybe on Facebook or, on my blog, and I would share it with my college friends and all that. And there was this one comment that I would always get about how they feel like, this doesn't make sense. Like, what rubbish are you writing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how crazy are you? Like, are you mad or something? So
Mm-hmm.
that was a comment that I used to, get then. Um, Initially, it did, like bother a little. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would become a little self-conscious, but then what I realized is, what, I'll just own that, and I just take it, and I just leave it there.
Wow.
And
It takes a lot
now
of
what,
courage.
yeah. So now what I do is, there are people, like, this is something that I even tell when, like, sometimes on Instagram and all, I have writers, send me their work and be like, can you just say how, can you just
Mhm.
like
Give
rate
a
my
feedback.
work, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I'm very conscious about doing that. And I tell
Mm-hmm.
them also, I'm like, listen, I'll tell you what it made me feel. I will tell you what this poem spoke to me, but I will
Mm-hmm.
never, like, give you a review of your poem or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the thing is, I don't want you to be self-conscious like that. I can
Mm-hmm.
help you with, like, telling you what it spoke to me or how it made me feel.
Okay.
And if at all necessary, again, there's a lot of debate and all going on behind the grammatical errors, and do you have
Mm-hmm.
to learn grammar in poems and all that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but very basic things that I would say. So now what I do in regards to my work is, I have a few people who are well versed in writing,
Mm-hmm.
who I know will give me a constructive feedback, like a
Yeah.
constructive criticism. I
Mm-hmm.
send it to them for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, when they give me a feedback or when they tell me something, I take it, I read through it. If it is necessary, I'll consume it. Otherwise, I'm like, okay, that's what their opinion is. Let me
Mm-hmm.
just keep it there. So I'm not conscious as such. Alhamdulillah, I'm not as conscious as I used to be back
Mm-hmm.
then. And I still own the fact that, okay, mad lady it is when it comes to my writing.
I like it about you.
Thank you.
So the next question is actually in connection with that. So, with creativity, there comes a fear of being misunderstood or ridiculed. You already know that. Especially for new writers, because something that you have been doing for years, now you want to share it with other people. It's pretty nerve-wracking. So, how should new writers get out of the fear of being misunderstood or ridiculed and just share their work with the world?
Okay. It's not. See, again, it's a very personal and subjective thing, because I'll be honest with you. I think till 2020, that's like just 2 years before, or 2021, I'm not sure. I never really accepted myself as a writer. Like, when people used to ask me, I would be like, yeah, I write. But I
Yeah.
never, called myself as a writer, because
Mm-hmm.
I was very conscious. I was like, that again is a responsibility. So am I up for that? Like, that label, that much of
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. Am I really going to do justice to that word? So there were all these thoughts going on in my head. But then, and then this is after I published my book. Okay, so
Oh, wow.
in in text I was actually an author, but
Yeah.
deep inside I was very much, conscious about that word and
Mm-hmm.
how it would be. But then, what I've realized through these years is that there's going to be someone who will always judge you. There's going to be
Exactly.
someone who is going to, question you, ridicule you, make fun of you, and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's going to be people very close to you. Sometimes it's going to be strangers. Sometimes it's going to be your followers and all that. But then, deep inside, what you have to ask yourself is, do you want it out there? Do you want it to be read? Do
Mm-hmm.
you want to share your work? And if your answers, like, what do you have to, like, what answers do you come up with that? That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's your personal creative writing. I'm not talking about, articles that you write
Yeah.
for a magazine or,
Mm-hmm.
some newspaper or something like that. No, I'm not talking about that. Talking about your personal work that, is like part of your soul. It's
Yeah.
like it has come out of you. You've given birth to it. Do
Mm-hmm.
you want to put it out there? Do you want the world to read? Just that is necessary. Like, because again, you see, once you put something out, whatever it is, you could You could make a good biryani and you could serve it to your neighbors. You will have three people coming and giving it three different comments
Yeah,
on that.
exactly.
So it's same like that. You could anything that you share into this world, it's going to be, commented. It's going to have judgments and all that. So
Hmm.
what matters is, as a writer, do you want to be read? Do you want your work? Do you want to share your work? There are some work of mine that I share on Instagram, but then I just leave it there. I don't really bother who read through it or who's
Hmm.
commented what, because for me at that moment it's just need to be somewhere and it's there.
Hmm.
It's not like I need someone to read it.
Hmm.
Reading, if someone reads it, okay, fine. But there are some writings like that also. You just put it out there,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
right now we live in this social media kind of a world
Hmm.
where we don't always take up a pen and write in our diary.
Yeah.
There are some writings that I have directly gone, just randomly picked a picture, and then in the caption I've sat and written it down,
Uh-huh.
not like in a document or anywhere else. So there are such works also.
Hmm.
So it's like, to answer your question, what is very important is that we need to realize, like, do we need to be read? Do we need to share the work? And we'll always have an answer for that. And
Hmm.
sometimes people have this fear where they want to share, but then they're anxious because they feel
Hmm.
like it's not good enough.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
them, what I would say is, don't judge your own work. Like, that's something very hard for writers not to
Yeah.
do. I do that. I still do that. But we have to keep telling ourselves, because trust me, a writer is their own worst and best critique sometimes. Like,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
criticize
Huh.
our work, but then
Hmm.
we shouldn't be doing that, because again, that is in a way our ego playing, I feel, like we should just let it.
Hmm.
And if you want to share, and if anxiety is only your problem, then I would just say, give it a shot, share it. And you never know, sometimes people be like, they'll really connect with your work.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
you never know that, right? So just give it a shot, and yeah, that's what it is.
So do you think that it is important to distance yourself from your work, or like take it as it comes, the reviews?
Distance yourself from your work, as in what? I didn't understand.
Like I asked this earlier as well, so it's kind of repeating myself, but like when someone gives you a negative review, so you just kind of get in the loop of, oh, I'm bad, I shouldn't share
No,
my
no,
work.
don't do that. See, that's the thing. When you hear a review,
Hmm.
there are two ways, people give you a review. One is, there's nothing constructive in it. It's just they want to destroy you, so they're just telling whatever comes into their mind.
Hmm.
That you can really ignore easily.
Yeah.
But then there are people who genuinely, like, I have a mentor of mine
Hmm.
who reads my work and he brutally, gives me a review.
Hmm.
And it would make me even think, like, why did I write it like that in the first place? But then I know where that is coming from, and I know he's telling that from a very good place, and
Hmm.
that helps me grow. Like, one thing, again, so it's not like you should be distanced from your writing,
Hmm.
but if you get a good constructive feedback from someone, then you can always rework on it. So this is
Hmm.
something that my mentor keeps telling me, and that is, Hiba, you write something,
Hmm.
it'll look good to you. You'll never you don't look at your baby and go like, no, I need to read. You don't do that, right? Because
Yeah.
your baby is always going to be perfect in your eyes.
Yes.
But sometimes it's good that you rework on it. Like,
Hmm.
you could get it to maybe, polish a little bit or
Hmm.
fine tune a little bit, but it's
Hmm.
always good to rewrite. So he always says a good writing is something that's rewritten probably, multiple times.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
it's not like you have to distance from your work when you get a feedback that is negative, but you just need to sit and analyze, like, was that negative feedback from a good place, or was
Hmm.
it unnecessary? Because some people, they'll just, like, I've had people who, they read something and they'll be like, what is this? Like, it's like, what are you writing? Oh, anyone can do this. Like, why,
Hmm.
why? Kind of a thing. So it hurts. We are humans.
Yeah.
We've got
Hmm.
emotions. It hurts. But we just need to, like, don't let that consume, us as a
Hmm.
writer, or affect even our writing later.
Hmm.
So yeah, you don't have to distance from your work. You
Hmm.
just need to maybe rewrite or rework on it,
Hmm.
or not bother those comments.
Yeah, you just have to be selective in who you are receiving the comments from,
Yes.
right?
See,
Yeah.
that's another thing,
Hmm.
um, share your work to people who have an idea about what you're doing.
exactly.
Like, especially if you're looking for feedbacks. I'm not talking about publicly sharing something,
Yes, yes.
but when you're looking for feedback, don't just pick up anyone and you be like, okay, give me your, what do you think about this? Don't do that. Because again, everyone's got different sort of ideas and all of it
Yeah.
when it comes to work and all that. So pick your people, pick your mentors. It's always good to have a mentor, well, for every writer, I would say, like, someone who you can always get back to, because again, it's not just about your final product review, but then, it's the process.
Yeah.
Like if you're writing a book, there's a process to it. If you're writing an article, there's a process to it. So sometimes you need help, you need to get your creative juice flowing and you don't know how to do that. So it's always good to, if you can have a mentor who can help you with your journey of writing.
Yeah. So Hiba, what is your writing process like? Do you like to sit in solitude, or do you like to go out and sit in nature, surrounded with like birds chirping or whatever, or do you like to sit in a silent room? What is it like?
For me, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't say like I have a constant, writing process as such, because most of my work, it's come like spur of the moment. But then for that spur of the moment to happen, there's always a journey to it. The thoughts, the triggers, it's mainly triggers for me, like what triggers me, where I am. So I love being in the nature. I like solitude. But I also sometimes, what I randomly do is I just go to a cafe. I just order a coffee. I sit there. I observe people around there. I just randomly look at whatever is there. I sit for like 2-3 hours. And then I might not have written anything, but then 2-3 days later, something would come. Sometimes it's like I'm going to bed and I have this thought come into my head. And then I'm like, I'll be so lazy sometimes to just get up, pick my phone or my book or something to write it down. But then again, I know that if I don't write this now, I'll forget
it's
it.
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So there is this beautiful theory that one of my writer friends have shared with me, and that is like your thoughts, or your creative thoughts are like a guest that come to you.
Wow.
You leave them ignored, they're leaving and they're gone. So you have to open the door. You have to be the best host that you can be and let them in and all that. So yes, so that's one thing when it comes to writing for me. Like I don't have a process as such, but then like if it's a book or something, like so I'm working on a book also right now. So for that, I have to create a routine. I have to sit somewhere quiet. And I'm someone who needs a lot of space for myself, like a lot of time for myself to have my energy, not completely. So that is something that I do. Like I sit alone. I sit with the work alone, maybe at a cafe, or I don't mind outside noise a lot. I don't have to be like completely isolated from everything and everyone. I can write even if there are like 5 people in front of me. I might sit. I can write. Yeah, alhamdulillah, I can do that. But when I'm in my work, like even right now for my radio show, I have to script my show every day. So I'm also managing social media. So I always have like 2 works to do. But when I'm scripting my show, then that like 1 or 2 hours, it's like I'm around all my colleagues, but then it's like I have a space of my own. So like at that time, no one interferes me. At that time, I'm doing my thing. So that's kind of how it is. So I need to be alone, even when I'm around the crowd. I just need that, like I don't mind the loud noise, but I need the quiet space. So that's how it goes for me.
So any writing related habits you have that you would like to share?
Writing related habits, as in, are you asking like, would I have a cup of coffee with me, or
it's like, do you listen to music while writing? I have seen people.
Okay, I don't listen to music. Like I said, I observe a lot, and that is one why I love sitting outside, like maybe in a cafe or in a place where there's a lot of people. I like to observe people's faces. I enjoy doing that. I also like having, maybe a hot chocolate or maybe a coffee or something. But more than that, so that's another place. Like another place I love writing is at the beaches. Beaches are like so nice to sit and write. I also love looking at the sky and the night sky while I'm writing. So these are a few things that I love. Like it's kind of like a habit, but yeah, mainly it would be me sitting in a cafe and observing people. I love observing people. I just go to the malls sometimes and I go to the supermarkets and hypermarkets just to look at people and be like, okay, what's going on in their head? What are they thinking now? So that's something that I like to do. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really have a hobby. I mean, sorry, habit as such. Yeah, so that's how it is.
Okay. So can you quickly share your publishing journey?
Mm. Okay, publishing journey. So like I said, I think I started from 2017 or something. So initially, my script, like the manuscript I had for the first draft that I had, I think I had around 140 or 150 poems of mine. Okay. And by the time the book was published, there were like 60, 61 poems. So it took time to refine, because again, when it comes to a book, the thing is, you need to look at the whole technical side of publishing. You can't simply be like, I'm the writer, I want everything in it, kind of a mentality. So you have to look at the design of the book, the the science of it, the maths of it, all of it has to come in place together. So it took me around 2-3 years for that to happen. Okay. And I like I said, like I talked with my mentor first, and he was like, you can work more on this. So a lot of poems were edited towards the end. And then I think in 2019, I sent my draft to one of my friends. So I was studying in Pondicherry University then. And one day she just asked me, Hiba, can you send me your draft? So I sent her that. And 2 weeks later, she sends it back to me, but then there were illustrations in it. Okay. So a few of the poems, whatever she felt towards it, she had made line arts for it, and she'd given it. And that is kind of when it, like clicked into me that, okay, you know what, I should really think of publishing this now. I shouldn't keep on delaying it. So I talked with Wordsmiths Publications. So this we have a Wordsmiths club that's like a writing and reading club in Calicut. That's in my hometown in Kerala. So I talked with the founder of them, of the club, and I was like, listen, I want to do this. So they were like, okay, let's try something. Let's try publishing it under this club, and we will have a crowdfunding. Okay. So I had like around 10 people crowdfund for the book. And it is kind of like self-publishing, because I did not go through the traditional method. But then it was with the help of the club, the literature club. So that was it. This was in 2019. We started in May, and then I had my friend do the illustrations for me. I had my elder brother help me with the layout and everything. So since it's not a traditional publishing, we have to look into all of this. Like, where are we getting it printed from? What's the design going to be? How big is the book going to be? What's the length? What's the all these things are going on. So I was working on it while I was doing my master's. And Alhamdulillah, on October 21st, no, October 20th, yes, October 20th, 2019, I published Written. It's a collection of poems I have written again since 2014. So it was a collection that I had since back then. And my founder of Wordsmiths, he helped me sit and edit the book and make it like more readable out there. And then we got it printed from my hometown itself. Okay. And then so now it's been more than 4 years. It's going to be the 4th year. And it is a great journey. It was a lot of learning experience for me, because so the first time I was doing, so I was also like in my mind I was like, okay, again, the whole like if I sound very calm and composed now when I'm talking about it, that was not the case back then. I was anxious. I was so scared. Even like just a week before publishing, I was calling my friend, and I was like, should we do this? Should we just cancel the whole plan? I don't think I can, because again, up until then, I never we never printed like my work and like put it out into a book or anything. But from that day onwards, it's going to be out there, and like people would have it in their hands, and it will be on shelves and things like that. So each and everything, I would overthink, and I'll be like, should I do this? Should I not? Should I do this? But then I had amazing support, I would say, my family, my friends. Alhamdulillah, there was a great support back then, even now, so that really helped as well to make that book happen. And yeah, it's a great journey. It was a very good learning experience. Now I know a lot of things what I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Next time I'm thinking of
Inshallah.
publishing a book, inshallah.
So, what do you say are the pros and cons of self-publishing?
Okay, so pros is that it's easily accessible now.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone can publish a book if they want to at the moment, and it's comparatively it is economical also.
Okay.
Especially if you have people who can help you out with different things. But then one of the main cons, is that um, marketing side. Like, say, as a writer, I'm not a good, what do I say, entrepreneur, or I wouldn't make the best
Mm-hmm.
business person out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but when you're an author, you
Mm-hmm.
have to have a good marketing team. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to brand yourself.
Yeah.
You need to be able to keep talking about your book and, like keep that momentum going on. So when it comes to a traditional publishing method, you
Mm-hmm.
have that in your hand.
Yeah.
They will provide you with the
Mm-hmm.
marketing, ways and how, and they will make sure that your book reaches places.
Mm-hmm.
But this, you have to do that all by yourself.
Yeah.
So that is something that I was, kind of finding a little bit of challenge with, because I
Mm-hmm.
was not, like I told, like my main marketing place was Instagram. But
Mm-hmm.
even now, like now, even on Instagram, it's become so competitive to brand yourself
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that easy. So you need to have those techniques and you need to have those ideas, the skill when you're
Mm-hmm.
going through for, like self-publishing. But if you have all that, then I would say self-publishing is always a great,
Mm-hmm.
way to go about it, because now you have Amazon, you
Yes.
have, I think in India, you also have like Notion Press, publishing
Mm-hmm.
houses that, provide you with both traditional as well as self-publishing spaces and platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's like, you have a good space when it comes to self-publishing. The main major challenge that you would face is that um, you need like branding yourself, putting yourself
Yeah.
out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, when you go on a global a market, I feel like, especially like I was talking to publishers here in UAE,
Mm-hmm.
the whole what do I say, environment is different over here.
Okay.
Here they look into, like, especially when readers away in UAE, they don't
Mm-hmm.
really look into what's inside the book, but they look into how the book is, the quality of the
Okay.
book,
Mm-hmm.
what's the cover looking like,
Mm-hmm.
is the page, what's the quality of the page, what
Mm-hmm.
is it inside. So the aesthetics of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
like very well regarded here in UAE.
Okay.
But back in India, that's not so much the case.
Hmm.
It's like making it more economical.
Yes,
Like, so
exactly.
here, here a book maybe that's like 50 pages book would cost you like 35 to 40 dirhams.
Mm-hmm.
While in India, you would have a 120-page book, which you could easily get for maybe, 99 rupees or 100 rupees or
Yeah.
something like that. And it would be a great quality of the paper and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be there. So the difference in the market. So if you're going out the international and all, you have to, have a proper study of what the place is looking for, even when it comes to books. There's a lot of technical side like that when it comes to publishing a book.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so, what is the one thing you would say to aspiring writers? Something that you would have said to your 14-year-old self?
I keep telling my 14-year-old nowadays, see, you made it. um,
Just keep doing
what
it, right?
can, yeah, like keep, see, if you feel like writing is your purpose, if
Mm-hmm.
you feel like this is something that you always want to do in your life,
Mm-hmm.
then keep it close to yourself. Because trust me, in the past 12 years, there was a period when I had completely detached myself from writing. Not because I wanted to, but then the circumstances that I was going through at that point of my life made me do it. And I was not at all happy about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I was ignoring it for a very long time. And then when I got back to it again, it was it was a very overwhelming, but at the same time a very beautiful feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And now, there are days when I still struggle. There are days when I still struggle as a writer, like just trying to pen something down, nothing comes
Mm-hmm.
out, and I'm like, what is it? Is it done? There are days I still question myself, like, am I done writing? Like, is it not going to come out of me again? But again, what happens to me or what I go through is the realization that this is my purpose. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to
Your
do
true
this.
calling.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, like I always keep telling, it's not something that I can just do when I feel, but it's something that I have to do, something
Yeah.
I need to do. And if you see writing like that, then keep it close to you. You may be in circumstances where you can't write every day or you can't be around words every day. That's okay, but at least, like find once a week or maybe twice a week some time to scribble. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a poem that you're writing, or
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be an essay. It's just anything. Like journal if you want. So journaling is something that I try doing nowadays because
Okay.
it keeps me, like the flow of words keep going when it's when I'm journaling. So keep writing, keep it close to you, and if you feel like it's your true calling, or if that's the purpose, then you'll always find a way. And yes, like that's what I tell my 14-year-old also. I'm like, see, you made it here. Like, you had all those doubts, you went
Alhamdulillah.
through all those time. Yeah. And at the end, like God plans better than all the plans that we make.
Yeah.
And as writers, like the reason why I put the title written for my book was because it was again a realization I had at some point when I was thinking of the whole book idea. And that was that whatever I wrote, like all the poems that I've written in that book, all the poems I keep writing, all the poems that I might write in the future also, inshallah, if God wills, is because Allah had it already written. So I was connecting that fact, like the fact that whatever I'm writing, the words that I'm pouring out, it's already written down that, okay, at this point, Hiba will write this. And that is just what I'm doing. So again, like in life, whatever comes up, like as a writer, because again, there's something that my mentor tells me that if you're a writer, you're someone who is very raw. You're someone who would, have to be naked with your thoughts a lot of time. And that can bring in a certain amount of pressure. That can bring in a certain amount of, heaviness on you. But then again, what we need to realize at that point is that we were meant for this by Allah's will, and
Yeah.
we just do that. And it's khair, and we see it like that, and we go about it. And if at all we, like wrong in between, if at all we boast or we feel that ego dancing around our head, we seek forgiveness, but we still keep writing. We don't just leave it because we think like I can't do it or it's done. We keep it we keep it close to ourselves, and that's one way we can heal also as writers. Like you have to put it. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like it's not that easy to put it out, but once you put it out, you're like, Alhamdulillah, it's happened.
What a beautiful way of thinking. Thank you so much, Hiba, for giving your precious time to us. It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope the audience take away a lot from this video, and I hope we were able to motivate some aspiring writers to share their work with the world. Thank you once
Inshallah.
again.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was not much of a conversation, but Jazakallah for the time as well. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.